Friends, what is up? Greg Newmaster here, coming at you with another action figure review. Today I have Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to be precise, Lightning Collection, Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston from Hasbro. This is probably the second Blue Ranger figure I've ever owned. Going all the way back to Bandai's first Power Rangers figures. I guess they were about 9 inches. The original figures. Power Rangers hold a very special place in my heart. They were the show and the toys of the 90s. They came after the Ninja Turtles, so they were the first giant 90s phenomenon. And probably the greatest Christmas I ever had was this was the time when people would stand in line for hours to get these action figures. This is the time period of Beanie Babies and McDonald's toys, and then there was Power Rangers and Tickle Me Elmo. That was the other big one of the time period. But my mom, these toys were impossible to get, but my mom pulled it off. She went to Toys R Us early in the morning. I think stood in line at 5 a.m. And Christmas of that year, I woke up, had all of the Rangers, had the Megazord and the Dragon Zord and Green Ranger, which by far were my favorite figure, my favorite Ranger of the series. So, the Rangers always have a very special place in my heart for nostalgia's sake. Of course, I was obsessed with the show, just like everyone else. I mean, it combined the Japanese sort of Godzilla filming feel with martial arts, and everybody loved martial arts. I loved martial arts. And the fact that they were teenagers and that they could transform, and then they had the Zords, which were awesome. And we had a taste of this earlier on with Gundam, and of course, what am I forgetting? The Lions. It's slipping my mind right now. Sorry. But anyhow, just the whole mech, like Zord thing was just incredible. Voltron, oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, I forgot that. Voltron, yes. So we had it with Voltron. And then Power Rangers came along, and they just combined all of this, which everybody knows it came from the Japanese Sentai show, which was way before the Americans got a hold of it. But once the Americans got a hold of it, it was a phenomenon. So today I have Billy, the Blue Ranger, stereotypical nerd. He had the Triceratops, Power Coin, and Zord. And he was the smarty pants of the group. He was like Donatello in the Ninja Turtles. He was like Beast in the X-Men. Just your typical nerd, science kid who would just strategize and build things and all that good stuff. And so in the movie they kind of flipped it. They made Billy the black kid, and they made Zach Asian instead of Zach being the Black Ranger and Billy being the Blue Ranger. So that was an interesting twist in the new movie. The comics have been phenomenal. If anybody has read the Power Rangers comics over the last 5 years, they've been fantastic. And through them, we've had Lord Drakon and the Slayer Ranger, like these alternate realities of, what if Tommy the Green Ranger turned bad, and what if Kimberly turned bad. It's just really great stuff. And also, there was a indie film that was, I think it was only 15 minutes. It's on YouTube. It's just like Power Dash Rangers or something like that, but it's like a rated R version of the Power Rangers, and it is the coolest thing ever. And oh my goodness, what I wouldn't give for them to make a movie out of that. Like, it was just so awesome. It was dark and it was gritty. All the Rangers grew up to have PTSD. Just really awesome stuff. So, you know, it's a great mythology. It's a great franchise. They could do so many cool things with it. They blew it with a new movie, uh, especially like the Ranger part of it. When it was interesting up until they turned into Rangers, and when they turned into Rangers, it was lame. Go figure. But nothing beats the original. Nothing beats the original. So let's check out this Billy figure. I'm already pleased because of the bow staff. Because in the SH Figuarts, in the Bandai, like they never had a long, his lance, I think it's like his Triceratop lance, that could always break into two pieces, and it was always real short. But I can already tell it looks long. But here's the box. Here's the side. There's the back. That's a nice picture. Little lightning effect it has there. And there we go. There's the bottom if you care to see that. And top. So I'm going to bust this guy open. This is my last Mighty Morphin Power Ranger of the series. And now I have the full team. So I had to get this figure. And for 25 bucks, these figures have been really good. Hasbro has done a very good job. There he is. So my only complaint is the sculpting is not that great. So like I'm looking at his helmet, and his helmet kind of looks fat. It looks like a circle. It just doesn't look 100% accurate. SH Figuarts, they nailed these figures, I thought. And I have 3 of those, but I was really slow on the draw when those figures came out, so they became so expensive that I just couldn't justify getting the whole series, because some of them are, you know, up to like $300. Like, good luck getting the Yellow Ranger or the Pink Ranger, and then they pulled a fast one on you where they gave you alternate heads where they didn't initially. Like, they gave you the helmeted head, and then they gave you the character head, and then they re-released the figures to have the characters' heads after I had already bought the first wave with where they just had the Ranger head. So, you know, but those figures are phenomenal. So, you know, sculpt-wise, this doesn't quite match up to that. You know, kind of looks like on the show so there was the Japanese footage, and then there was the American footage on the show. And when they showed the American footage, like, they had their own distinct costumes, like, that were made like for modern times, like in America, when they were wearing their Ranger suits, and they were always puffy and baggy, and they just didn't quite fit right. Where when they flashed back to the Sentai footage, they were like shiny and sleek, and they were skin tight, and they looked really good. So the sculpt of these figures reminds me of the American footage, where the costumes are just kind of baggy. So here's my Bandai Red Ranger, and granted, this is at least $100 figure. Like, it just looks so sleek, and like, look at the sculpt of the helmet. Like, it looks angular. Like, I'm really disappointed with I don't have another Blue Ranger figure to compare this to, but I've had Blue Ranger figures in the past, and I've seen them, and like, this just looks, I don't like it at all. Like, it's a round circle. It looks it just looks frumpy. It doesn't look really good. So I'm kind of disappointed with that. Same body mold that we've had, except for, well, there's a Red Ranger figure, so it's the same exact body mold as the Red Ranger. So we get a head. The boots look good. You know, and I appreciate the sculpting of like the wrinkles and the clothing and things like that. Let's get closer. There's the Morpher. You can kind of see that. I think you can kind of make out a Triceratops, but the paint isn't very well around the Morpher. But like I said, this is only $25, where SH Figuarts is $100, and it's imported from Japan. So not too bad. I'm just happy to have the whole team. I'll just go over articulation. Shoulders go up about that far. We get the nice butterfly joints. I really appreciate that. In there, wow, that can go back really far like that. So you can get some good posing with the Rangers. It does a straddle that far. Doesn't really get a good. You can kind of work the split like that. Double jointed knees, which is just a great innovation of modern action figure technology. Ankle tilt up and down. We got the pivot and the ankles, which is great. Thigh cut. There's bicep cut as well. You see that. Here we got double jointed elbows. Very nice. Wrist articulation. And the head can go back that far, can go down that far. So not too much movement. Let's swap the head and we can get a look at the Billy head. I would say, for the most part, these the unhelmeted heads, they've done a pretty good job, I'd say. I mean, that looks like David Yost, Billy. That looks like the actor, the man who he coined the words. Like he'd always say things like prodigious and more phenomenal and things like that. I always loved Billy for the nice little exclamations that he would say. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Fun fact about David Yost, who played Billy, he was like 30, I think, and all the other actors and actresses were, I think they were in their early 20s and maybe even teens. So he was like a real old dude playing a teenager. But whatever, he made a name for himself. I heard he endured a lot of hardship because of his sexuality and was mocked and teased about that, which is a shame. So I think he couldn't wait to quit because they made fun of him so bad, which is pretty terrible. And that's a little bit true to the show as well, because Billy was the nerd and he was picked on by Bulk and Skull. Granted, he did gain his Power Ranger powers, but that's always a shame. But yeah, I really like this head. Looks good. The glasses look good. I don't like how they made them smile, like the Jason head. Like, thankfully, I got the San Diego Comic-Con 2-pack, so I have the Gold Ranger, and then I have the Dragon Shield Red Ranger. And the Jason head is smiling. I don't like these like dopey smiles. They should have like serious faces, I think. That's just my opinion. Maybe you guys think different. Look at that flowing hair. That flowing 90s hair. Even that looks good. So I'm pleased. Look, there's a little inseam right there too, which is good. Nice little detail. Like the little lines, the pads on the gloves, pads on the feet. Yeah, so there's Billy for you guys. What else do we get? We get their blaster, their gun. Unfortunately, it doesn't turn into the little dagger. That would be nice if this handle had a little joint in it and it could move and turn into the dagger and a little blade flipped out. Because this blaster was versatile on the show. I mean, but granted, you don't need that, but that would be just like a nice little touch. But goes in the holster just like that, which is very good. Let's check out his lance. So you get two little baby lances, I guess. So if he wants to fight with two hands and use them as sort of like sticks or Eskrima sticks or something like that. But they look like that. Not too shabby. And let's check out the lance itself, which I'm really happy because it's long. It's actually like a long staff where even with and that's something that the SH Figuarts screwed up on. Their lance did not have this center section, so it was real short, which this is great. Good job, Hasbro, giving him a full-size lance. It's one piece, so it doesn't come apart, guys, if you were wondering that. So I guess that's why they give you the two pieces, and then also I'm sure the two pieces are so you can construct, I forget what they call it. It's that mega weapon that they do when all the Rangers put their weapons together, and it becomes that like giant blaster. They've done that a few times in earlier episodes. He also gets extra pair of fisted hands. No like posy hands where he's like making a tiger claw gesture or anything like that. So I guess you can just kind of, I don't even really know how that goes on. Yeah, I guess it goes on like that. So there's like a little lightning effect if you like that. Overall, I'm pleased with this figure. Like I said, it's $25, 25 bucks. You can pose these figures up. I have the full team of Rangers now. Like I said, doesn't compare to the SH Figuarts. The SH Figuarts were just so sleek, so well done. Like, just look at that detail on his buckle. Like, look at Jason's buckle compared to Billy's. It just doesn't even compare. Just beautiful, beautiful crafted figures. See, like, the bottom of the SH Figuarts boots. Like, Jason's boots, they're black. That's a nice touch. Like, this one doesn't have that, obviously. But like I said, for 25 bucks, you can't beat it. I like these figures than the previous, I think it was called the Legacy Collection that Bandai did. It was the last series that they did. I like these figures a lot better than that. Also, that's really good waist articulation. Like, they really doubled it up. So they got a really good crunch and back bend there, in case I didn't show you guys that. And for one more, like, here's a good look. That's a good look at the helmet. It's just not sculpted good enough. It's just a little too round for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being nitpicky. Also, too, the problem with these figures, this particular series of Ranger figures, is they didn't make the necks long enough. So whenever I put his helmet on, it barely looks like he has a neck. So that's another sculpting issue that these have had, in my opinion. But other than that, it looks good. There's a little bit of pec muscles you can see. Not too much, but it looks good. Got my Blue Ranger, Billy Cranston, more phenomenal. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. I hope you guys are all doing well. God bless you all. Peace.